Today's video is all about MYRIA. It is a groundbreaking Web3 gaming ecosystem, a layer 2 blockchain built on Ethereum, and is a studio that has a great value proposition. However, guys, is it enough for us to be buying the dip and building into our portfolio as the price keeps on coming down? In today's video, we're going to talk about the fundamentals. We're going to be doing a deep dive and talking about some of the tokenomics, value propositions, ecosystem, and the overall team to see if this project has it in it to make some good gains in the bull run. So you know what? Let's look at the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of that volatility. And guys, if you have any projects that you want me to cover in future videos, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But today's video is a deep dive on MYRIA. MYRIA is a gaming ecosystem that they're trying to build here, guys, and it's a good project. But I feel like we need to do this deep dive. I feel like we need to iron out some of the ambiguity. We need to figure out if this project definitely has the bullish fundamentals for us to be accumulating when this price comes down. If the MYRIA price does come down to lower levels, will we have the bullish fundamentals ready to go to have that conviction? All right, so let's begin. We're going to be using the website just as our platform to kind of navigate all the fundamentals. We'll be scrolling through the website to see what kind of content it does provide to us to build that confidence. But at the end of the day, if the website's not giving it to us, obviously that's an issue, but it should. This website should be fully featured, should give us every piece of information that we want, and let's see if it does the job. All right, so let's continue going on here. Let's see what it has here on the landing page. We have a few advertisements on some of the major milestones, I guess. Mint, common, and rare assets to your MYRIA wallet, and of course that's a good thing. Having a wallet, layer 2 solution. You have your MetaMask link here as a Web3 solution. You can connect your wallet and interact with the MYRIA ecosystem, which is good. They have a token, of course. This is what we're all talking about. Should we be buying into this dips that we see right now in this transitionary phase into the bull run? We know MYRIA right now could be at a great buying opportunity. And the only way we're going to figure that out is if fundamentally we feel like it's still undervalued and if it still has potential to go to the upside. Guys, just keep in mind, in the bull run, many projects do very well, and MYRIA should be one of them as well. But the question is, how much of a position size should we have? So let's think about this. Node sale, of course. MYRIA has nodes that are available for purchase. And of course, if you want to be part of the validation, if you want to be part of the ecosystem, you'll definitely get rewarded for that contribution. So something to learn about, of course. If you're interested, go check that out. That's an interesting aspect. Of course, they have a little bit of a partner. A lot of their partnerships are quite interesting in the fact that the way MYRIA actually works with their partners, we're going to talk about that in a second, but it's an interesting relationship that they're building. They're building many relationships, which is part of their ecosystem. Their ecosystem is highly dependent on relationships, and we'll talk about that again in a little bit when we talk about their ecosystem. And that's that. And of course, one of their major games right now is the cricket game, Cricket Legend AB. And they've joined forces with MYRIA to deliver the next generation of blockchain gaming to cricket fans around the world. Okay, so I'm not sure how popular the sport is, give or take, but nonetheless, this is a good thing. They have something unique and something that they can offer the gaming community as far as value. Okay, so this would be one of their major projects. Now, if we continue going down, of course, they have more if you want to see more games, and that's an interesting catalog of games that they got going on there. But we'll keep on going, see what else we get, and we can go look at those games in a second. Become a node owner, a lot of repetition here. Wallet, a lot of repetition. More about the games, latest updates. Okay, some news. AI, guys, honestly, I feel like this is here for I don't know why it's here. I don't know what they're... Go read that article and you'll know exactly what I mean. The article doesn't even say anything with regards to what MYRIA is doing with AI whatsoever. It just basically explains what the value of AI and integrating AI into MYRIA, but no clear roadmap as to what MYRIA is doing with AI. And speaking of roadmap, guys, this website has no roadmap. If you're looking for a direction where MYRIA is going, there's nothing clear about that. Unfortunately, I did speak to somebody on the Discord, and they direct you to the announcement section of the Discord, which is a great running live type of thing if you want to go see what the team is up to and what they're releasing and that so on. But at the end of the day, a clear roadmap with clear milestones keeps the team accountable. Now, given there is a trend of teams not even putting roadmaps anymore because they don't want that accountability. It's going to be released when it's ready, when the product or service is ready and it's tested and ready for basically product market fit, ready to go. It will definitely release it, and that's the case. A lot of them are saying, you know what, we're not going to be accountable or have the price dump, let's say, if we don't meet our deadline. And I understand that aspect, I definitely do, but at least a rough idea, maybe separating it into quarters or something like that would be great for, investors to kind of get an idea where they're pushing or where they're putting their efforts in the short term. So something to look at. AI right now, I don't know exactly what they're up to with AI. There's no clarity or anything like that. And we know that AI is a very popular topic in the last little while, and integration of AI in projects is very popular, but no clarity towards that. So but be careful there. Let's continue going down the team. A solid team. Okay, so something that we have to understand, that many individuals are looking at this list. We have Ubisoft, Activision, EA Sports, Blizzard, Marvel, Riot Games, you could read it. You get what I mean. Lots of good heavyweights here. And there's over 150 people on the team. So this is an important thing. This is a great thing for the overall ecosystem and the whole project itself, to know that there's backers. And I think a lot of people are getting confused between their catalog of games and the relationship between the catalog and these brands right here. So let's stop where we are right now with the team, and we'll get back to the team, and let's go scroll right back up and look at their catalog. Okay, so right now you can see that they have a bunch of games. Let's see if this loads in time. There you go, a bunch of games, a lot of games. So stemming from what we see here, personally speaking, obviously this is what I perceive, these games are a very, very, let's say, they're not innovative in my opinion. They look exactly like many other games that already exist. Mario Kart, and you can see the list goes on. Lots of repetition. And just because you see these links here, it doesn't mean that they belong necessarily to MYRIA. Okay, so you're able, a developer, so you have MYRIA Studios, which are the games that are developed by MYRIA themselves. So you have 3 of them. And then if you kind of get out of there and you click ecosystem developer, these are individuals that are producing the game outside of the ecosystem, which are third-party, let's say, gaming developments, right? Projects or teams, right? In this case, they are able to use the development kit that MYRIA produces, so that they can produce games for the MYRIA ecosystem. So they're basically third-party developers, which is fine, totally fine. This is one way. Think of this as an app store in a way. So when I was researching this, I was thinking about how can I make a correlation to something that already exists? And I start to think about, the Android and the Play Store, and the overall cell phone or the marketplace where you're able to go and download applications for your mobile devices. And what bothers me there is that you have Android and Apple, and those are the 2 main players. And you can see that Android and Apple use very different approaches how they are going to populate their marketplace, right? So think of this as a scenario where any developer that has access to their SDK could definitely make a game and produce it and host it here on the MYRIA ecosystem or their marketplace, which is great. But what about the quality control? In my opinion, I want to know a little bit about how are they going to keep these games high quality. So if you compare again the Android, I think it's a Play Store or the App Store in this case, you're going to go check out their marketplace. You're going to see that the applications in general, and they've gotten a lot better though, but in the beginning, especially with Android's beginning, the quality of the applications were very, very low. They were very, very low. No quality control whatsoever. It was a very open-based system. Any developer can create an application using the Android SDK, and they could host it on the Android system without any red tape or much friction. Okay, so the quality was a lot lower, whereas Apple took a totally different approach. Every application that was created, number one, needed to pay to get access to the development kit. They needed to get into a very scrutinized process in order to make sure the quality was up to speed and up to date and all of that, which gave the App Store, or the Apple Play Store, whatever it's called, I totally forget, a high quality type of feel, which for me is an important thing. So I'm wondering what precautions or what system MYRIA has to maintain high quality. I'm looking at, for example, Sassy Strawberry. Let's click that. For me, this is not high quality. This might be a fun game to play, the same way Flappy Bird was fun to play, but the reality is this is what's going to keep MYRIA pumping to higher prices. I don't think so. This is actually not at any standard whatsoever. So what is it? Quantity versus quality. What is this of quality? I'm hoping at minimum they're pushing this game right here, the cricket game. I'm hoping that they push this to high quality. Okay, the highest quality, make this their flagship game. That's fine, but you can see there's a lot. What is this thing? Okay, we've seen this before. This is rebranded game for sure. And the list goes on. Very low quality in my opinion. Nothing really that crazy, interesting, or innovative. And I'm not trying to, bring it down, but we got to be real. Like, do you rather have 4 or 2 or 3 good games, really innovative, Game of Dragons? Guys, look at this. This looks like a bootleg type of gaming. My opinion. Obviously, you might love it. It might be great. You might, be bullish on it. Good for you. But my opinion is, if you really want to make a mark, you got to be innovative and you got to step outside this box and stop reusing content, in my opinion. Okay, so let's move on from there. But now let's make that connection with those logos that we saw. Okay, it's just because you saw those logos, it doesn't mean that they're directly involved with this list of games, right? They're not directly involved. Okay, so those logos that we see here at the main page, they're just logos of companies that some of the employees worked at. Okay, so there's 150 employees, and a lot of them come from a background from these companies. I was able to go through a few of them, and I did notice EA Sports, I noticed Blizzard, I noticed a couple others. So for the most part, I was able to identify some of the individuals on the team that were part of this group. Okay, so something to consider is, number one, the team is fully doxed. Okay, it's fully doxed. You can go on their LinkedIn profiles and you can check them out, who they are. You can go on Medium. They have full-on articles explaining where they came from, what they're about, their overall pathway to getting to where they were or are right now. So a lot of good transparency. There's lots of YouTube videos with interviews and explanations, and they're making the FaceTime. So they're definitely going good here as far as the team. The team is state of the art. Right now, I feel like the team is one of their best things that they got going for them. So that's a good stuff. Good stuff when you have those connections and you got these heavyweights. When I was doing the research on MYRIA, I really did feel that, of course, the similarity between MYRIA and GFAL is definitely there. There's a lot happening there where they're very similar. The teams are both very strong, coming from very similar backgrounds. And if you even get into the tokenomics and the way it's built, the very similar concept. And for me, I feel like both of them right now are trying to become major competitors in the space. And it may be the case that we see GFAL, Game for a Living, and MYRIA become heavyweight competitors where they just basically compete. Now, the question is, which one is going to outperform who? I don't think that that's the idea here. I think the idea right now should be, both of them competing is going to drive them to higher levels. Healthy competition makes them both grow faster and stronger and higher quality. So let's see how that relationship, plays out. In my opinion, both are decent projects. But let's continue going here before I give you my 2 cents. Now, that's the end of the front page here. Okay, not much happening on the front page. Lots of promotional stuff, which is totally fine as a landing page. Now we go to the ecosystem. What do we got here? This is where I was with the games. This is it. Nothing more here. Nodes. If you want to be a node holder, you can use the MYRIA token to basically pay for a node if you want to be a node holder, and they'll help you get through it. Set it up and all that if you're interested. So definitely a way to earn MYRIA tokens and also also a way to earn some passive income if you're interested. And of course, you get voting rights, exclusive NFTs, some perks, and being part of the validation network. Okay, so for sure, looking pretty good. Developer, if you want to become a developer, this is how it works. You basically get access to an SDK, which is a development kit. If you want to be able to create games for the MYRIA catalog, you download the kit. They give you some sort of, functions and things that you can do with your code to make it a MYRIA, compatible. Let's put it that way. And then that way you can deploy your game on their marketplace, right? Make it an open source marketplace where developers can create games and have a marketplace to be able to basically be compensated for your game. People to buy it and sell it and so on and so forth. So that's a good thing. That's one way that that MYRIA can definitely scale the amount of offerings they have with gaming. Whereas if they only rely on their own studio to create the games, they're going to, obviously release a lot less, a lot slower. But if they rely on third party to help them build the ecosystem, they get a lot of that momentum. And their catalog looks nice and big, and people associate MYRIA as a big, big company, when in fact, they're just, allowing other developers to post or serve their games on their ecosystem, which is not a bad strategy. It's all about the quality control for me right now. I don't know, what measures they have to ensure that those games are of high quality. Okay, let's move on forward. Developer products, developer grants. This is an interesting thing, the grants and all of this. We're going to talk about the tokenomics and where the potential funds could come from when you talk about developer grants. For me, this is not the greatest thing when I see the tokenomics or the token distribution. We'll talk about that in a second, okay, when we look at the overall graph and how the tokens are being allocated. That's the developer and the token itself. Let's go see what's up here. A little bit of tokenomic talk for a second. Enable the Web3 economy. So yeah, it is an ERC20 token at the end of the day, but it's a layer 2 scaling solution that allows basically transactions to be zero gas fees. There's zero gas fees. It's lightning fast with zero gas fees, guys. That's obviously a layer 2 solution that many layer 2s are trying to do to help Ethereum become a little bit more feasible. And this is what they identified as a scenario that they needed to improve, and that's why they created the layer 2. Obviously, if you want to do microtransactions within a game and you want to be able to transact or buy and sell in-game assets, you don't want to be paying tons of gas fees. And of course, a zero fee means that they are able to basically make the friction a lot less, almost to nothing, while maintaining maybe a small fee that at the end of the day provides a little bit of funding to the network at the end of the day. So this is a good thing. Fixed costs are zero in this case. So everything and above that is pure profit and might be able to drive a little bit of the liquidity of the market of the MYRIA token. Maybe they might burn it, and that's another thing. Any fees or anything that they put on top of the zero is basically an opportunity for them to make a burning scenario, to make this deflationary, and that is definitely something that the team has spoken about. The team did mention, there was an interview on YouTube where one of the lead developers, if I'm not mistaken, did mention that in the future they will think about how they can make it a deflationary thing. So a deflationary meaning that over time some tokens will be exiting in circulation. And with that said, if there's going to be a fee on top of the zero, that fee can be completely burned, sent to a burn wallet, and over time you will see the pressure, the buy pressure, given that the price, there's not so much circulation, the token value should go up. So that's really good. That's an interesting concept, but of course in the works for the future, and I wish they had a bit of a roadmap so that we can confirm like when and maybe a little bit of how they plan on doing that in the future. So that's a good thing. MYRIA is rapidly growing, high quality. We got to get a little bit of proof of how that is going to be maintained. Gaming projects, then okay, sure, minus the gas fees and congestion. Okay, fine. Let's keep on going down. Active community with 300k members, 1 million registered members, half NFT. Okay, fine. Not really. Okay, more stats and numbers. This is probably the most important thing that we want to spend a bit of time on. MYRIA utility. So what is it used for? Like, what is the purpose of having a token in this case? And I honestly feel that tokenizing in games is probably the best use case, and NFTs as well, giving NFTs a real purpose. So obviously you can use the MYRIA token to purchase a node and receive your rewards through by receiving MYRIA, which is very typical. A lot of very typical stuff happening here. Staking rewards, very typical. Protocol fees, any fees that they want to incur on top of the zero to, play around with, whether it be for burning or whatever the case may be. That is an interesting thing as well. Governance, this is something that, a lot of projects are doing that are not even DAOs per se. They want to reward people that are staking and holding the token by allowing them to be a part of some of the decision making. Now, of course, if they're not a DAO, how are they going to be? How are they going to be conducting this type of governance? Is it going to be a third-party application? What is going to be happening here? Who's going to be, at the end of the day, governing the governance? Basically, what we need to know here. And for me, I think the project is still very young, and they didn't really think about it yet. There's no real decision making happening just yet. But of course, a lot of us that are, when we see governance, especially me, I start asking myself, is this a DAO? Do they plan on introducing some sort of governance protocol to make this squeaky clean and transparent, right, type of thing? So let's see what happens there. Let's see if we click this, if we get anything. Believers, MYRIA, I don't like the word believers. It's not a faith-based system. It's either you're good or you're not. That's what we're here trying to collect data to figure out if this is a viable project. The vision, bringing real economies and genuine ownership of Web3 gaming. Stake secure. Participants decide. How are they going to decide? Direct, you know what I mean? Like the democratic way. How? Who? We know that the democratic way can be easily misconstrued and manipulated. So what we really want to do is figure out what's going on there and how they're going to plan on doing that. With some detail and implementation. Okay, additional in-game utility, of course, maybe some NFTs, maybe some sort of in-app games, assets of some sort, which would be good. If you want to buy this or that within the game, it allows you to kind of transact. And of course, the exclusive NFT purchases, again, giving NFTs an option, something other than just a JPEG. I'm a big believer that the JPEGs were just a proof of concept, and then going forward, we're probably going to see a little bit more added to the NFT catalog. At the end of the day, what we expect as an NFT is going to branch off and become a lot more than just a JPEG. Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on how MYRIA is going to be achieving all of this, of course, in the near future. Okay, we're going to look at the white papers very soon, very quickly, but let's keep on scrolling down. You can get it in a lot more places than KuCoin, OKX, and Uniswap, of course. These two being the larger ones, that's a good one. Okay, these are great. Lots of liquidity in both of them. They're top tier or larger exchanges, which is good, but we're waiting for, maybe a Binance listing, maybe a Coinbase or something like that to take it to the next level, but it's definitely pretty decent already. Lots of good options there. And then we have the token supply allocation. Guys, this is where things get a little bit iffy for me. Okay, we got to be real. Now, very similar to other projects that we've covered in the past, we got to consider MYRIA as a business. Okay, and that's an unfortunate thing because we want to consider MYRIA to be a very decentralized type of thing, but reality is it's not. And it's because it is a proof of stake type of scenario, it has a little bit of that centralization, which we got to be frank with. At the end of the day, ecosystem fund. Look how big that is. What is this ecosystem fund? Who is going to be governing this fund? It's worth 40% of the total tokens that are going to be in circulation. That's a significant amount of the 50 billion total supply is going to be 40% in an ecosystem fund. What is that about? Who is going to be controlling that? How is it going to be distributed? And that is the ambiguity that bothers me, right? And is it going to be based on some sort of voting democratic process? Do we want to get there? That's the reality. Does the crypto community want to have a faith-based system based on democracy? That's what we really want to figure out. So project development team, almost 20%, 90% for the project development team. Guys, that's a significant amount. Now, I know there's about 150 people there in the team. And percentage-wise, they're looking for 19% to be distributed amongst them. Guys, that's still a significant amount. That is still a significant amount. Between the ecosystem fund, which at the end of the day, we don't know where it's going to be going, and it's going to be control of, I guess, the MYRIA token, or the team or something like that. And then you have the actual team tokens, which is a 19%. You're almost at 60% right now, between the ecosystem fund and the team. That's a significant amount of tokens, right? So then you have the TGE, which is only 3%. 3%, which on the white papers it's 2%. So for me, that's a little bit, why is that? Why is there a difference? And what is the real number? It's only 1%, but you know what I mean? I want transparency. I want clarity. I want confidence. When the numbers don't match, there's a little bit of an issue there. Okay, so this was something that happened at Genesis. 2% was out there. I don't know where it was or who holds it or what. There's a wallet that holds it for sure somewhere, but 2% is out there at Genesis, and then you have your strategic reserve, another 2% that is out there, and then finally the 36% for node emissions. So if you're a node holder, you guarantee a possibility of earning 36% of the total supply, which is a very little if you think about it. So it looks like what they're really trying to do here is make sure there's enough tokens to be issued to individuals that want to build on the ecosystem, which is part of the ecosystem fund. So if we scroll down, we can kind of get an idea what the ecosystem vesting. Okay, this is the schedule. The vesting schedule. So at the end of the day, they in 36 months vesting months, it's that's when they're going to be slowly released. Totally 40%. Node emissions distributed daily. They have a halving schedule to reduce the overall rewards that the nodes will receive over time. Project development team, again, vesting 48 months, and they're locked for 6 months before they even start being released, and then immediately unlocked for both the TGE and the strategic reserve. So these are already out. Okay, these are already out there, and some of these are already being distributed, but very little, because this project is it's not that it's new, but the token is new, right? So that's the truth. And now we got the official address. You can also view it on Etherscan. Let's go do that. Let's open it in a new tab so we can keep on going down, and that's that. Okay, so but I do want to talk about the white paper, because there's a little bit more with regards to tokenomics on the white paper. So you can see my issue here right now with what's happening here. I want to know what's happening with this ecosystem fund. We got to know how these tokens are going to be distributed in a very healthy way, so that they do not hit the market and basically dilute the price significantly. Okay, they have to be given in a just way to developers that are going to be adding value to the ecosystem and not just dumping on the market. That's a concern for me. Okay, let's go see what the tokens are about that are already in circulation. Let's see what's happening here. Internal transactions. I don't like this internal transaction. Let's go see this. The white papers. Contract address, contract creator. That's interesting. Creator. Internal transactions. Contract. Let's see if I can. This is the actual contract. If you wanted to go look at the details on how the contract was written, this is all the code. It's very transparent. If you want to go see what it's about, it's on ERC20, so it's written in Solidity. So if you're interested, and you can read the contract right there, and that's it. Okay, I want to go see something else on. Let me see. While we're here, let's go check this out on Etherscan. This is the token right here, the MYRIA token. And if we go to holders, these are all the holders. Look at this. For me, this is a little bit actually, you know what? Let's go right here. You can see this in a nice pie chart. You can see that there are few wallets, 1, 2, 3, 4 wallets that are holding the majority of the tokens right now. And there's not many in circulation, right? In circulation, there's about, I think, 8 million tokens already in circulation, something like that. So there's not many. Oh, sorry, 8% of the tokens are in circulation. So that means that at the end of the day, there's not many out there. But the ones that are already out there, they're being held by 4 wallets. 20% here, 20% here, 20% here, and 13.5% right here. So these look very systematic. These look like probably ones that were owned by the team, or owned by the team itself, or some sort of foundation that they got built there. So something to consider. The majority of the tokens right now are not evenly distributed like these. These are the small fish in the sea that are basically holders right now. So something to consider here, guys. I'm not saying it's a rug pull. I'm not saying that because it's still very new. The token is very new. So at the end of the day, this is the game plan. Look at that. A lot of people would frown upon this. In fact, it doesn't look good. Look at these nice round numbers. This is very systematic. Very, very systematic. This was planned for. This is something that is definitely by the team. The team is doing has these in their wallet. This is their wallets, probably, most likely. Okay, let's move on from this. Let's take a look at that white paper. out of all the white paper stuff that they got here, a lot of it is very repetitive. That's already on the website in a very clear way. There's a lot more detail. We'll get back to page 18 in a second, but you can see what I mean. If you want to know what it's about, what the problem, I like this title. Is there a problem worth solving? Yeah, well, the gaming industry is massive. It's growing. I get it. And a lot of the gamers, they want to, basically take control of their own assets, and in-game assets are a big thing as a secondary market. I get it. Lots of good stuff here, and scalability. That's why they went to the layer 2. And guys, I forgot to say it's a ZK roll up, so another thing, a bit of privacy around there, so that's a pretty good thing. Lots of stuff happening here for as a layer 2 in itself. Never mind that its use case right now is focusing on gaming. As a layer 2, it's pretty decent, so you're more than welcome, obviously, to dig a lot deeper here and to figure out what's going on here with regard even to the ZK roll up and that kind of stuff. But what I'm focusing right now is on the tokenomics, and we can see that you have the token supply. So node emissions, again, a little bit of repetition of what we talked about. Strategic reserve and the TGE is 3%. So that's interesting stuff here. And of course, the supply schedule, we talked about that. And you can see here in a little bit of a graph. We noticed that around 28 months, or it's 26 months, 32 months, that's when the majority of the tokens are already going to be released. So in about 2025, maybe, we should see the majority of them already in circulation, which could be the beginning of another bear market. That's the reality. Maybe some downside potential at that zone. But the reality is, as we enter this bull run and as we continue into this bull run, as we are right now going sideways, of course, we're transitioning into potential bull run. We could potentially see some, sell pressure. Now, again, we got to be careful with what we say here, because when we say sell pressure, we always think, the price has to come down. It's not necessarily true. There's no rules here in that case. As long as the demand outperforms the supply, the price will continue going up. And that's the thing. Right now, unfortunately, MYRIA is not experiencing that significantly. They're getting their unlocks, they're getting more tokens out in circulation while the price keeps on dipping down to lower levels. Whereas its competitor right now, and I believe it's one of its major competitors going forward, it's going to be games for a living, and it's as tokens are being released and we're getting token unlocks, the price keeps on either maintaining or going up, and that's a sign of strength. That means that overall the demand is outperforming the supply. Now, could we see the same thing about the MYRIA price? We're going to take a look at the price in a second, but I can tell you straight up, it's not as strong as the games for a living token. Now, there might be a lot of theory and a lot of reasons for that, and I'm obviously open to any of that conversation. Feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. Better yet, join me live. We can talk about this live, and if even still, the Discord is a great place to talk about it, and I'm open and willing to have that discussion, because in no way, shape, or form am I totally understanding of everything with regards to this project. But from an individual, a regular investor, when you look at this chart, it just starts to tell you, like, look, there's going to be a lot of pressure here. There's going to be a lot of pressure here as we enter this bull run. A lot of the tokens, especially if you look at the yellow line, it's the ecosystem fund. And for me, again, we don't know what this ecosystem fund is all about. We need a lot more transparency as to who is going to be the one signing the checks or sending over the tokens to the ecosystem contributors. Who's that person? Who decides which games are worthy of joining the MYRIA ecosystem? Are they going to be more Flappy Bird impersonators? Are they going to be another, you get what I mean? I want to see, are they going to be giving those tokens to high quality projects that are going to drive the price higher? And for me, that's important as an investor. So quality versus quantity. If they're going to be competing with games for a living, it's got to be something where they're going to be providing quality to the ecosystem, and that's important to me personally. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, guys. I'm not trying to sway your opinions on anything. I just, want to be transparent, and I'll obviously give you my 2 cents. Whether you appreciate it or not, I'm doing it my best. Okay, so other than that, there's legal disclaimers, and a lot of these white papers do. Feel free to read these white papers, a little bit of what it is as a scaling solution. Of course, talking about the ZK and the operator and the SDK. In my opinion, that SDK is super bullish. that gives a lot of potential for this economy, or this the economy and the ecosystem to grow a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Because you're not just relying on MYRIA's team to develop the games. Now you got a lot of other individuals, developers coming in and contributing, which can grow this thing significantly. So that's a really bullish thing, in my opinion. I really do like that. Now, there's a blog that you can get involved in, I guess, where you can read a lot of their up and coming stuff. You can consider this almost like a roadmap to get an idea of what's happening here. MYRIA's first birthday, you get what I mean. A lot happening here on Lice Keys, NFTs, and things that you could read and figure out for yourself. And I think a lot of these are on Medium. Yeah, they are on Medium. Medium.com. There's also a article on the developers, on some of the major players. These guys right here, guys. These guys, the VP of games, this dude is, and this dude. These guys are the heavyweights. This guy does a lot of public speaking and talking about the project. But these guys, between these two guys, they have a lot of experience in those heavyweight gaming projects, companies that we've been looking at on the front cover of the page. So bullish. If you do have some time, go read about them. It'll make you understand what kind of value proposition that these guys offer to the team. Great. Okay, so let's go back to the website and let's see if we missed anything. So far we get a bit of an idea of what's happening with regards to the tokens. We get to understand what the project is all about. We understand our possibility of being part of the ecosystem, basically purchasing a node, the utility of the project. So we did quite a bit. We talked about, what else do we got here? The team is great. You can get on LinkedIn and see each and every one of them. In fact, MYRIA has a page on LinkedIn where you can see the majority of their team is on there. And another good thing, while I have these links down here, I went on the both the Telegram and the Discord, and I was able to get a hold of somebody that was part of the team. They seemed pretty official, that was able to direct my my queries. They were able to answer my questions, which was great stuff. Time, especially time zone wasn't an issue. I got there at regular EST time, and I was able to communicate with somebody that really had some good answers for me. So that's really good, really bullish. Contact about, get started. These are for developers. So good stuff overall. Good stuff. Okay, now, of course, let's talk about that infographic, guys. If you're interested in taking a look at this guy right here, be prepared, because I'm going to be posting that on the socials, on my socials, on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm going to be posting that. But if you want it right now, you're going to go on the Discord, and it is already posted since yesterday. I do front run it, and I posted a little bit earlier so that the community can kind of digest some of these ideas that I got going on here. So we'll talk about this, and then we'll jump right into the price. Okay, so a quick rundown of what I feel. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, but I feel like we need to kind of isolate what's important here. We know the ecosystem has lots of games right now. Okay, there's tons of games out there. Many don't exemplify leadership in the environment. In my opinion, Flappy Bird. There's one there of COVID. There's one there, all kinds of names and titles that, and even the graphics and the overall thing, it doesn't seem like it's something that they want to be show leadership here. Now, the cricket game, it could be that looks like their flagship. They're putting a lot of push and a lot of stress on promoting it. It could be a good one, no doubt. And for that reason, I feel like we need a bit more clarity. And I was generous with this 9 to 10, because even the clarity as to who is going to be posting or contributing to the ecosystem for the catalog of games needs to be transparent. Who's making that decision? Are they just accepting anybody and everybody that wants to develop games? I want more info on that. Utility. So very typical. I'll give you 10 out of 10 because it's very typical and well thought. Of course, no purchasing. You get rewards, staking, protocol, fees, governance, in-game purchases, all of that good stuff. So perfect stuff. Roadmap, that's where unfortunately I wasn't feeling it. Okay, so I think every team, no matter what, even if you're skeptical about saying or putting yourself accountable, but it does make a sense of accountability to say, look, by this time, even if you give yourself a bit of a range, I get it, because you don't know, things might happen. You might not hit the mark, and then all of a sudden people start dumping on the price. It does happen. You can look at, just rewind a couple of weeks. There's many projects that do that all the time, right? But the reality is, you need a bit of an idea. I think investors deserve to know, like, where is the team focusing their efforts within a certain amount of time. And if your investors agree with that focus, they start to get fundamentally bullish. So without a roadmap and a clear direction, for me, that's a problem. So, and we shouldn't have to rely on a Discord channel, not even the server. It's like, there's a channel there that you get directed to if you want to go see what they're up to, but that's not where you should be going. I know it's a very modern thing to do right now to get on socials and gather a lot of your information, but it's not where it's at. Okay, so we need to get something on the website, in my opinion. Of course, the team, 10 out of 10, perfect. Nothing else can be said about that. 150 people, high quality individuals, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, Blizzard, and the list goes on, guys. Some good stuff there. I'm hoping that they have the strength and the power to make this thing a real good competitor and drive healthy competition for increased quality. That's what I'm focusing on here. I would like to see a Coca-Cola Pepsi relationship between two main gaming studios, and at the end of the day, I'm hoping that we as a community can isolate those two main players nice and early so we can scale in nice and early and of course make those gains. Social. Okay, so we didn't talk about the socials too much, but we might as well touch upon it about here. Their X followers, they have 224,000 followers on X. Okay, now if you look at their engagement, guys, it's not the greatest. Let's go quickly look at that on their Twitter. Let's go see what's going on there. So they have 220, where is that number? Somewhere around here. Okay, 220,000 followers right here. And if you look at the engagement on their posts, they don't reflect that amount of followers. Like how much engagement. So they have good numbers, but their engagement is low. Like they make a post and they only get 150, even less, some of them, like 63. Like that's really low. Like 200, and this thing's been out for a while, right? Since September 8th, it's basically dead, right? So in my opinion, the numbers don't match. I've seen less, subscriber or follower count with more engagement on a post, and their posts are lacking, in my opinion. They need to get a little bit of, what is this? They're reposting Gate.io. I don't even know if that's a positive thing nowadays. I really don't like Gate, but and they're reposting other people's links, other people's posts. So not very bullish, in my opinion. It needs a little bit more engagement, and there's a little bit of a disconnect between the amount of followers they have and the engagement that they're receiving. A lot of people could definitely think about that as questionable. Okay, so something to be considerate about. So their amount of followers have been decreasing, so down a little bit in the last little while, about 143% in comparison to the last 30 days. So 30 days ago, they basically dropped by 100%, which is not good. But their posts, they did post 19 posts in 30 days, but still down in comparison to the last 30 days. So reality is they got to keep it going. They got to increase a little bit more from 19 posts, and their posts got to be genuine, and they got to be from the team themselves. And if they're not creating enough hype, they got to get a marketing team doing something. And if you noticed on the token distribution, or even like there's nothing geared towards, or maybe clear that maybe marketing is involved. Now it could be part of the ecosystem fund, it could be part of the team. It could fit in many places there, but no sign of what their strategic play is with regards to marketing, especially now in a bear market where you want brand recognition. You want to be able to build your brand in preparation for the bull run, so that the first name and brand that you think of when volume starts to pick up is MYRIA. That's what you want to think about, is MYRIA, right? Right now, this is a very small project, of course, and without the marketing efforts, it's going to be very difficult. So let's see what happens here in the near future. Tokenomics, we talk about this, 8% of the supply. The team holds approximately 90% when it's all become in circulation, obviously, and ecosystem fund about 40%. Let's quickly jump. We're not going to go into CoinGecko because they don't have much of the data that we're looking for. But if you look here on CoinMarketCap, there's a bit of the token. The market cap is very small. You're looking at $7 million market cap. Very, very small. It's been up in the last little while since I posted, so that's pretty good. The volume is decent. You're looking at about 8.5%, give or take, on trading volume. So that's good. I like about 10 to 15%, but we're right in there. We're right there. So that's not bad. It was a little bit less in the past, but we're growing. We're getting there. And you can see just in the last little while, in the last day, we're getting a bit of positive momentum here in the price. And this is why the market cap has been going up, and the overall trading volume is looking a little bit, on the uptrend, because of course we're getting a bit of a bullish move to the upside here on MYRIA. Okay, so looking pretty good. The circulating supply is 8% of the total, so that's significantly low. right? That's part of the tokenomics that a lot of people are concerned with. As we progress, as time passes, and as more tokens enter circulation, we will get that sell pressure. As long as the supply doesn't outperform the demand, we should be okay, right? MYRIA should stay up and or maybe even continue going up as long as the market keeps on buying and looks at it as a bullish project fundamentally, and once the demand is nice and high. So I really don't mind. And a lot of people look at this max supply of 50 billion tokens as something like that needs to be, that's very bad. It's a very arbitrary number. It doesn't matter. It's about its utility. It's about how many tokens are going to be required to, transact and all of that. So that 50 billion, don't really focus on that. What I'm worried about is more about the 4 billion that are only 8% in circulation. And again, over time, these unlocks, the tokens hitting the market. That's the issue. Fully diluted is $87 million, guys. Still very small. In my opinion, it seems to be slightly overvalued still. Okay, slightly overvalued in the short term. So maybe we should be able to get in at a slightly cheaper price. But then again, guys, we'll talk about the price in a second. We'll look at the charts and see if we can, snipe a better entry from where we are right now. Okay, so let's get back into that infographic for a second and kind of finish up the review and wrap up the review, and then we'll look at some price action. So again, tokenomics, a bit of an issue there with all of that, and it's not a negative thing. It's just the reason why I give it a 7 is because there's an area of risk that we need to be aware of. When tokens get released, we definitely have to anticipate sell pressure. Okay, so partnerships, there are a few odd partnerships there, and unfortunately the website doesn't give it to you. There's nothing there that is clearly saying that these are our partners and we're teaming up with this team or this project or that or whatever the case may be, some sort of project. There's nothing really happening there. I saw one earlier on, but it was a bit ambiguous, so I said, it's better to just keep it like this. It feels like what they're really focusing on is partnering up with other gaming studios and other gaming, let's say, projects or companies that are going to be using their SDK. I think that's going to be their bread and butter, and building the ecosystem through those partnerships and relationships, which is a fine idea, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is build your network in that case and have a lot of contributors to this ecosystem, which is a really strong strategy, as long as you keep those partnerships and ecosystem contributors high. That's my opinion. You don't want to be low quality gaming, because then you're going to be labeled as that, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm not interested if that's the case. Okay, so I'm going to keep that at a 7. I'm going to keep that in mind going forward and see how things kind of keep on rolling out. And just to keep it out there, KuCoin, Mexi, Bitmart, there's tons of exchanges right now that are basically providing liquidity for the MYRIA token. I give it an 8 out of 10 because we still have a bit of room to get into the major games, players, Binance, Coinbase, and you get my drift. So right now, looking pretty good. I would have gave it a 9, but I'm being very, clear that we still have some room to make some major moves into bigger, basically exchanges here. Okay, so something to consider. Pretty good. Again, price, it's kind of going up in the last little while, kind of fluctuating here and there. So this was as of yesterday. Okay, yesterday. So that's something to consider. Market cap, all of this, 15 billion. We talked about fully diluted, 80 million. Very young project still. Okay. Now, just to kind of wrap it up and get into, my overall verdict and what I feel like this project could eventually do here in this bull run. And just to keep in mind, it is part of the gaming narrative, very bullish narrative. I feel like it has a lot of value going forward, especially for NFTs. And also now that if you kind of see an internal ecosystem that uses a token is absolutely perfect here. So coupling up NFTs and tokenization is perfect. Okay, so I like the whole idea. It is built on a custom layer 2 scaling solution with ZK. Very bullish, really good stuff here. They were able to reduce gas fees to 0 and increase the speed and all of that. So I think the transaction rate is about 9,000 transaction per second, something like that, some crazy number. So that's great, some high value there. So pretty good. Proof of stake, very common nowadays, especially when you're talking about Ethereum tokens. Proof of stake, of course, there's that whole conversation. What's better, proof of work, proof of stake? A lot of individuals still find value in proof of work, and so on with proof of stake. That's a whole other conversation. We just got to understand right now is their consensus mechanism is proof of stake, distributed through emissions, vesting period unlocks, and ecosystem funds. So you're going to get tokens in many different ways. We talked about the utility and the way the tokens are going to be distributed already. Again, that ecosystem fund is what kind of leaves a little bit of gray area for me. And that 90% for the team is kind of high, but at least it's straightforward and transparent. But the ecosystem fund, again, I don't know where they're going to be putting that and how they're going to be distributed in a proper way, and who makes those decisions. And of course, the risk of dilution we talked about as tokens hit the market. We're only 8% in distribution already in circulation. The rest of them are going to dilute the price. How is MYRIA going to hold up during that time? That's a good question, right? So large gaming catalog with no emphasis, a bit of everything, a bit of a lot of nothing, maybe, not good quality. I want some good stuff there before I get really bullish. Trading volume is okay. It's good. It's not bad. It could be a little bit better, but still good, especially for a new project coming out like this, a new token release. I expect it to stay no less than this 8% trading volume, no less than that, if we want to keep a healthy scenario where you can get that liquidity both in and out. The last thing you want to see is low trading volume, because then what about if you hold the bag and you want to sell? You won't be able to sell. And we can see that the exchanges do support that volume, because there's a lot of exchanges. We're talking about KuCoin and OKX, which is our big exchanges. Okay, so that's a good thing. Team is fully doxed, something to consider here if you want to know how bullish the team is all about and what their track record is and where they've worked in the past. They got LinkedIn. They're all linked up on LinkedIn, of course, and there's articles on Medium that you can go read and see where they came from and what they've been doing and their whole ideas of their visions and going forward. So the team is great. Nothing to say negatively about that. The X activity, their posts could do a little bit of work. It looks like they may be, taking it easy on it. Of course, it's the bear market. The incentive is not there. The marketing dollars don't get, they're not really doing their work nowadays. It's just the more marketing dollars you put doesn't necessarily that you're going to get a return. So I understand that concept. Marketing dollars do get very, very expensive, and maybe they're just waiting to get a proof of life in this cycle, this market cycle, get into the little bit of a bull run. Let's see if we start getting some good momentum to the upside, and maybe they'll step it up and change gears. It could be very possible that that's their strategy, but up until now, I feel like they need to get a little bit of more active communication there on their socials. Website needs more detail on the roadmap and the team. We shouldn't have to go to Medium. We shouldn't have to go to LinkedIn only. Maybe having those links there are great, but we should get a little bit more. I think that every website, when you're talking about a project, and should be laid out in a way that when a person goes on there that wants to do a deep dive, it should all be laid out perfectly. And to be honest, that's where Games for a Living kind of did a better job. Everything was laid out perfectly. Like, that was the easiest deep dive, because I could just go on that website and literally get everything what I needed from that website. That tells me that they know exactly what people are looking for when they're trying to figure out whether they should put their money. And if you're giving that information very easily without any friction, the likelihood of an investment is a lot higher, right? So that's something to consider here, guys. Website, I know it may be considered an old way of communication, but investors want a brochure, a digital brochure of why they should be investing in their project. And of course, if there's things missing and you got to dig around, it starts to, build that friction. You don't want any friction. You want to make it go nice and easy. Okay, so let's continue here. MYRIA, with a market cap of Gala. Okay, a lot of people compare a lot of the gaming projects to Gala. So you know what, let's do that. Gala, of course, right now it's rock bottom. It came down significantly, and if we compare it to its current market cap, of course, MYRIA has a potential of doing approximately 60x. That's a huge move, right? Nonetheless, but we got to understand if we're comparing it with Gala, we got to understand how Gala is right now, and Gala is rock bottom. And if you look at Gala's market cap at its peak, which is that it was at about $5 billion, guys, that's significantly higher to where it is right now, right? So for me to say only 60x is not even fair. Now, if you were to say, look, if it got to Gala status, which is possible, right? Well, Gala is one of the OGs in this overall gaming, the gaming theory of being a large a plethora of games. That's basically what they are. They have a whole catalog of games, and now we see Games for a Living doing it and MYRIA doing it. So a studio, right? That's what Gala is basically a gaming studio. If we see that that's the trend now, we have to understand that maybe it may be possible that Gala got a first mover advantage and was able to reach that $5 billion market cap mark because it was the first one. Now, could Games for a Living, or even in this case MYRIA, do that as well? It's very possible that it can. Now, if it does, let's say if it matches its previous high on Gala, I'm expecting at least $1, give or take. Now, that's even just getting to previous high, right? Previous high doesn't mean that in this bull market that we're not going to exceed the previous high. The likelihood is that we do. We want higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? So the trend has been up for this crypto space for years upon years. Who's to say that we're not going to get that higher high? So let's assume that even if we double top, we should do well. And if we get that higher high, it should do even better. That's why my price target, if we get to about $1, guys, that would be a decent price target overall. Get to see MYRIA at that level, right? And of course, guys, you know, here on the channel, I am not a moonshot type of guy. In fact, me putting a target out there is kind of out of the spectrum of what I am comfortable doing. But what I prefer doing is taking it day by day. Let's track that market, see where we actually see weakness in the charts, and then from there start protecting ourselves. Obviously, guys, keep up with the channel. I'm definitely going to keep you up to date along the way. When we get into this bull run, we're going to be there together along the way, trying to figure out when is the perfect time to start protecting your gains, because that's top priority. Once we get into those gains, whether it be the price hitting $1, $5, whatever it is, even if it's 20 cents, whatever it is, if we see signs of being top heavy, we're going to slowly start taking profits and scaling out. And not a problem if we do come down for a retracement, big picture retracement, no big deal. We'll scale right back in and ride it for another leg to the upside. But we definitely need to stay step at a time. Hitting those targets and putting those bold targets are very, very tough, and it's a bit of a risk to take these numbers for face value. Given all what I've discussed today in this deep dive, I give MYRIA a 9.5 to about a 9. I like the 9 more or less. The 9.5 is almost there, but you know what? I'm going to give it a 9, given that, you know, MYRIA at the end of the day, it has a bit of work to do, a bit of ambiguity here and there. I think that it could do great, and it could be a very, very tough competitor for many projects that are in this space. But nonetheless, guys, no project is perfect, especially when they come out early, and either early release and the bear market is in, sideways price action, no real volume, no real anything. And at least MYRIA right now is getting the hype that they need, right? All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's take a look at the charts. MYRIA, what is happening with you, buddy? Going sideways, and of course within the consolidation. But we can say this is that the daily is getting that beautiful pivot point, downward sloping price action, while at this level we see in a pivot point the momentum is still moving up while we are seeing the price action come down. This is a class A bullish divergence, and it looks like MYRIA is looking for that follow through to the upside. This was the area where I was mentioning, look, if you buy in here at the green, okay, at this green arrow, this is where you got to be protective of your gains. Now, we hit that once. You may have took a bit of profit. Maybe you bought back in. Maybe you didn't. This is the time where you're going to potentially see a bit of resistance. However, guys, if we do get that follow through and we see this price action get into overbought scenarios, it is very likely that we see a nice fat breakout to the upside. Now, if we kind of zoom out and look, there's not much price action here, guys. We got to be aware of this. There's not enough here. We got a bit of a volume gap right around this zone. You can see that very clearly. That on the VPVR, there's an empty gap right here that is a piece of weakness, right? Straight down price action means that once we break out of this area, we're going to be looking for areas of weakness in this chart. And there's a bit of a grind to the downside, a bit of a grind all throughout, a bit of supply and demand peaks here and there. But overall, nothing comparison to this sideways consolidation that we've kind of produced down here at the lows. So it's very possible that maybe we do come up, maybe do come down and backtest big picture and get to about 0.0018 again down at this level, and then finally get that fat bounce to the upside, guys. But if you've been accumulating here at the bottom of the range right now, you're definitely in a good position to be protective of those gains. Why? Because if you have bought here at this green arrow, like I've always suggest, look for those empty volume gaps, look for those opportunities to DCA, look for great risk to reward ratios, even if it's just spot positions. If you got here in spot right now, just as we speak, you're up 25%, guys. Protect those double digit gains. means if you were able to take profits at the red arrow, which of course are always my targets, that's up 35%, guys. If you're up 35%, if you happen to take profit right now, is a great opportunity for you to consider rescaling in some of those profits on the cheap and wait for those retracements. As we speak here on the daily, it looks like we're getting a bit of a pump to the upside. We should be getting into overbought scenarios, so be very careful here. Let's get into the 4-hour for a second, because you can see that we already got overbought on the 4-hour, and it's very likely that we potentially get a bit of a rollover to the downside. Given that the price action is coming down and the momentum is still going up, we should get this is a hidden bearish divergence right now that we're seeing here. So it's likely that maybe we consolidate here for a little bit more, and that you might be able to buy back at a slightly cheaper price. Let's see how this overall price action plays out. Let's see how these two peaks that we are potentially going to produce very, very soon, because you can see the price is moving up. Maybe the momentum comes up a little bit more. If we get signs of bearish divergence right now, which can be very possible, because we got a high right here and we're currently creating a lower high. We have to exclude the wicks when we look for the bearish divergences. So as long as we are downward sloping in this local area, right, we can even get into the 1-hour as downward sloping, we're okay, right? Downward sloping. Now the momentum could make a higher high, the momentum could make a double top, the momentum could do a lot of things here, but as long as we are, you know, making a lower high, I feel like we could potentially be rolling over here, and let's maintain that position. The MACD is giving us a lot of indecision, a lot of fake out scenarios here, so be very careful. This is not the time, in my opinion, to make any rash decisions. So based on the 4-hour, I would be very careful getting into fresh longs. I would also be very careful getting a huge position size. I'll be waiting for the daily to give me a signal, and the daily right now is looking like it wants to get overbought. So be patient with the 4-hour. Let the 4-hour get oversold as best as we can, and then get a better entry, because the last thing you want to do is buy the top and then it come down. What are we talking about if it came down? Maybe it gets a rejection right around the zone and it comes down even down to this level. That's a 20%, 18% dip, even a 10% dip, a 10% discount. There's nothing wrong with that. So be very, very patient. You might even want to take a look at the 1-hour once in a while, just to see, like, do we get oversold on the 1-hour? Where could we go? I would suggest that you pay attention for buy the dip opportunities. And of course, guys, if you want to join live, that is a great opportunity to talk about charts live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you found any value in today's deep dive on MYRIA, do the channel a huge favor, slap that like button. Of course, it does really help out that algorithm. And if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. Great community, lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Guys, take care, have a good one, and see you tonight. And don't forget, buy the dip.